Hello, my good people. So, in our last episode in this relationship series called Is Lot Costing You a Lot? We saw how Lot mismanaged Abraham. And what we are learning is that you being mismanaged in a relationship can either be because you made the wrong relationship choice, that is, you picked the wrong person, or because people change. Yes, people change. And just because they were right for you in the last season doesn't mean they are right for you in this season. Because not everybody bears the same, not everybody produces the same fruits in every season. And if people change, we must learn that fruit inspection in relationships must be done seasonally because people change. And if all these relationship dynamics are true, then we need to learn the life skill of knowing the relationship adjustments we need to make for the productive life that we want. Because you need people skills for a productive and purposeful life. So we'll be talking about all the relationship adjustments that we can make. There are about 3 of them. And the first relationship adjustment that we need to learn to make in relationships is we need to learn to make adjustments in the area of our expectations. Some relationship headaches come from unrealistic expectations in relationships. There's this content I'm developing where I talk about all the categories of relationships. And I talked about, for the sake of our conversation, I'll just highlight 2 categories. I talk about the friends categories of relationship, and I talk about the associates category of relationships. And I talk about how friends are safe relationships that you can always give help to and that you can always get help from. Friends are safe relationships that you can always give help to and you can always get help from. And this help doesn't often come the way you want it. This help often comes the way you need it. Because what you really want is not what you really need. Every now and then, what you really want is not what you really need. And friends give that to you. Friends will hurt your feelings just to save your future. So I talk about the friends. I also talk about the associates. And I talked about how I said associates are people who, although they are not evil enough to be enemies, they are not also safe enough to be friends. Associates are people who, although they are not evil enough to be enemies, they are not also safe enough to be friends. And associates are people that you share schedules with. Associates are people that your schedules intersect. You share schedules with them. And associates, they include your co-workers on your job, that's your colleagues on your job. They include your church members. These are your associates. And what we do in relationships is we have these naive expectations from associates that we should only have from friends. We have these naive expectations. We have these unrealistic expectations from associates that we should only have from friends. And so we begin to treat associates in a way that we should only treat friends. And so we treat associates like friends, and we begin to expect them to also treat us like friends. And when we don't get our expectations from them, it creates frustration, because frustration is always a result of failed expectations. Frustration in relationships is always a result of failed expectations. And you can't expect an associate to treat you like a friend. Jesus puts it this way. He said, know a tree, know a person by the fruit it bears. He didn't say you should judge a tree, you should judge a person by the fruit it bears. He said you should at least know them by their fruits. You should at least know them by their character. He didn't say you should know them by what church they attend. He said you should know them by their fruits. You should know them by their character. Maya Angelou puts it this way. She says, when people show you who they are, believe them. When people show you their color, believe them. And what Jesus is saying, and what Maya Angelou is saying, is you must know the difference between people's fruits, that is who they are, and people's potential, that is who they can be. You must know the difference between people's fruits, that's who they are, and people's potential, that is who they can be. And Jesus is saying that you can pray for people's potential, that is who they can be. You must believe in their potential, that is who they can be. But don't set your expectations based on people's potential. Set your expectations based on people's fruits. And when their fruits change, then your expectation too can change. Don't set your expectations based on people's fruits. Don't set your expectations based on people's potential. Set your expectations based on people's fruits. And when their fruits change, when their character change, then your expectations too can change. Number two, we have to learn to make adjustments in the area of our investments. Now, God's kingdom is about stewardship. We are not owners in God's kingdom, we are stewards. And we have been called to steward our time, our talent, and our treasure that God has given us in a way that is consistent with how God wants them to be used. God wants you to steward your time, your talent, and your treasure that He has given you in a way that is consistent with how He wants them to be used. Because when we start acting like the owner of our time, talent, and our treasure, then we start fitting God into our plans instead of fitting our plans into God. So the question we need to ask ourselves in God's kingdom is the question of stewardship that we need to ask ourselves in God's kingdom is, how and where do I spend myself? On what and on who do I spend myself? You ask God, on what and on who do I spend myself? So Jesus puts it this way. He says, don't cast your pearls to swine, because they will trample on it, that is, they will undervalue it, and they will turn around and bite you. So what Jesus is saying is discernment before investment. Because not only will unwise investments be undervalued, he said you can be abused because of unwise investments. So Jesus is saying investments in people or in things without discernment will always create abuse. You will always be abused because of unwise investments. So Jesus is saying there should be discernment before investments. So you must learn to make adjustments in the area of your investments. Number three, we have to learn to make adjustments in the area of our emotions. You must emotionally accept the fact that at least for right now, there are some people that you love that love what's hurting them. You have to emotionally make peace with the fact that at least for right now, there are some people that you love that love what's hurting them. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't care, but I'm saying you can't let that caring kill you, because if it does, you're going to be so emotionally worn out that you won't have any emotional stamina or any emotional strength left to take responsibility for the things and the people that you're actually responsible for. And I'm not saying you're giving up on lots. I'm not saying you're giving up on anyone. But I'm saying you're giving them up to God, because you must come to the point in some relationships where you recognize that the investment you're making is only creating resentment. And if you don't create boundaries, the toxicity from this resentment will cost you so much in this season that you've worked for. So you must learn to create these boundaries so you can release them to God, because if you can't help them, God definitely has other means and methods to help them, because every need is not your responsibility. I hope this was a blessing. Please, if this content blessed you, please like and share. If you like the content, the algorithm has a way of making it pop up on people's feeds. And if you share it, you bless someone's life. Take care.